I am just someone who loves having a framework and ideally a visual framework. I'm a very visual learner. So this episode is all about helping you prioritize what truly matters in your life. We all have those core activities that ground us, that bring us joy, but life can get really busy and sometimes we let things slip. I'm going to teach you how to ensure that those non-negotiables happen regularly. Welcome back to the Becoming You podcast. I'm Rebecca, and today we are diving in to one of my favorite parts of the Balance Blueprint. It's the non-negotiable navigator. And we have those things that just fuel our energy. And so we're going to be covering how to first define your non-negotiables and identify which of those activities are bringing you joy and how to integrate them into your daily, weekly, monthly, you can even do quarterly and yearly routines, and how to reflect back and adjust so that you can stay aligned with your passions and priorities, because you are an ever-evolving human and your interest and your focuses will absolutely shift, and you should shift your life, your schedule, and your energy with those. And make sure that you've completed your obligation audit from that last episode and lesson, because it's so important to do this exercise after the audit so that you're not just adding in things that don't serve you, but you're really intentional. And then also, hopefully you've done the CPR method, because we're going to look at how do you actually incorporate creativity, play, and restoration into your routine. And remember, if you want to track your habits and make sure that your non-negotiables are prioritized, text the word balance to 949-503-9882, and you'll get that workbook and all of the episodes or lessons that I'm covering the Balance Blueprint mailed to you, or I should say emailed to you in your inbox. So the very first thing is to define what is a non-negotiable. And what I've personally learned is that the key to a fulfilling life is not about doing more. I spent decades in the doing and the more. It's really more about focusing on what matters most. Again, not just to be effective or efficient or productive, but like really to be fulfilled. And these are your non-negotiables. These are the habits, the activities that you must have in your life, in your schedule, to stay fulfilled, productive, impactful, grounded, and energized. And you're going to have both professional ones, like specific meetings, or maybe it's follow-up in your business, or activities to drive sales, reviewing KPIs, your planning, but also the personal things like connection to those you love, things like keeping healthy with movement, being grounded, whatever those activities are that balance you. But I want you to remember, especially if you are like me, that this is about simplicity, right? We want to focus on the few things that allow us to truly be the best version of ourselves, not about overloading ourselves with this incredibly long to-do list that we can never accomplish, so we feel like we've never done enough. So I want you to grab a notebook, or if you already have your Balance and Blueprint workbook, grab that. You can also just use your phone, and I want you to list out what your non-negotiables are. Now, again, think about the things that bring you joy. Think about what activities keep you centered. This could be movement. You don't need to put like, I need to work out at the gym and do all of these specific things. I like to keep it simple. So again, movement, maybe it's connection time, maybe it's time with loved ones. And then you can always incorporate the menu of the things that are creative, play, restoration, as well as at work in your professional life. If you have a job or a career or a business, is what are those non-negotiables daily? Could be following up. Right? It could be, what is that one thing each day that moves you forward? Calling the eating the frog, right? But make this simple. It should only be 2 or 3 things, personally and professionally. Again, the goal here is done beats perfect, and what really moves the needle. I like to set myself up for massive, massive success in these. So I'll give you an example. And specific to my daily practices is every day when I look at what makes my day outside of work successful, I look at connection, usually with myself as well as someone that I care about. Number 2, it's some type of movement. And number 3 is time outside. Now, the beautiful thing is I usually start my day Monday through Friday walking my children to school. And, it's about a 12, 13-minute walk, and we're getting movement. I'm connecting with them about the day, and I'm outside in nature. So if I just do that, which of course requires that I plan to make sure that we leave early enough that we can do the walk and not the 3-minute drive, my day is already started off as a success. So again, make this easy on yourself. So let's talk about integrating these non-negotiables into your routine, daily, weekly, and monthly, because that's what is on the non-negotiable navigator. And again, you could build this into your quarterly or your yearly. But for non-negotiables daily, I want you to think about what helps you feel grounded, productive, fulfilled on even the busiest days. So again, that walk in nature on the way to school, I get that connection time. On the way back, I either focus on a podcast because that nurtures my creativity or my restoration, or I catch up on a phone call with a friend. So I kind of give myself a little bit of choice each day on what do I want to focus on. I also play board games with my kids as part of my daily dose of play. So pull out your CPR and look at what is realistic to do daily, not every day. So if I say movement, maybe one day a week it's yoga, which is restoration and creativity. One day a week, it might be my burlesque class, which is creativity and play. So again, I have a menu, but what is that thing that is movement related? What is that thing that is connection related or self-care related? And again, these are small daily practices: meditation, exercise, family time. This could be something that you do for 10 or 15 minutes. I think I read a quote as a parent or a stat that said something like, if you have 15 minutes a day of very high quality connection time with your children, like they're going to remember that you're connected with them. I mean, I'd like to plan more than 15 minutes a day, but there are days if I'm traveling or if our schedules don't align that I may only get that 15 or 20 minutes. So how can you make that time massively meaningful? And you can always up it on days that you have the space. Also your professional activities, right? So if I'm doing a retreat or something that I'm going to be out of pocket, right? I'm going to be working not in my business. What is maybe what I could do in 30 minutes or an hour? Is it the follow-up, which could literally be, I'm out of the office, but I will get to this on Thursday so that I acknowledge an email, right? What are those things? Obviously, you can automate, delegate, and delete these too. But make sure that you're putting down like the 1 to 3 most impactful things related to you professionally. And now moving into weekly. So the weekly activities are really the rhythm for your life. And look at what do you want in that weekly rhythm. Some of these could be built in on a day-to-day basis. But for me, I look at weekly, have I done some writing? Sometimes it happens on Fridays as I'm reflecting on the week and I send out that email on Sundays. Sometimes it's like literally building in my writing class on Monday nights. Weekly, I want to make sure I do some type of dance or date nights with my husband or yoga or some type of girl time, whether that's in person or that's on the phone. But I've realized that these are really essential for my happiness, my well-being, my fulfillment, and reflect on what you want to commit to weekly. Is it at least once a week a family dinner? Is it once a week you're going to check in with a friend? By the way, that doesn't have to be every friend. That could be once a week you plan in 30 minutes for a few phone calls, or you plan in maybe writing a letter, an email, and you can rotate through. But what are those weekly things? And then the same thing professionally. Maybe it's once a week that you're like, hey, I'm going to do my planning session of my task management, or once a week, you're going to work on your content. Whatever those things are, what do you want to focus on each week? And then last is monthly. I love setting monthly intentions for activities that require a bit more planning. Maybe this is like a day date versus just like our normal date night. Maybe this is taking my kids to play tourist, where we're going to be gone for the entire day and do something really fun that's not just like the normal activity. Right? These are the things that you really want to deeper dive in. So for me, this might be building out a hypnobreathwork hypnobreathwork session or a playlist, or it could be podcasting. I have changed my podcasting from doing it once a week to typically 1 or 2 times a month. I'll record 2 to 3 episodes, and I really focus on getting in state. Literally now I drive up here to my she shed in Palo Alto because I know the light's nice and the energy is like, get it done. It's high vibe. It's not energy I want to live in all the time. Or that could be that deep into nature. Instead of just the walk, it's like, let's take a hike, or let's go off the grid for camping, or doing the escape room. But ask yourself, what can you plan in each month that really fills you up, that feels exciting, that gives you something to look forward to for the month or for the week? So that could be a day trip, a personal project, a mini adventure. But what do you want to do? And by the way, a monthly review is a really important part of this, both personally and professionally. Looking back at what worked. And when I started doing this, by the way, I remember it was 2020 and I started really working with a habit tracker, very, very intentionally and religiously. And one of the things that I looked at, and this was not in creativity, play, or restoration, but a habit that I really wanted to adopt that I had been unsuccessful with for 40 years of my life, or at least the 35 years that a dentist told me to do them, is daily flossing. Daily flossing. And so I made that part of my daily practices for about 2 or 3 months until it became an activity. And I will tell you now, in the last 4 years, the number of days that I haven't flossed, I could probably count it on my fingers and toes. It's very rare. It's less than once a month because I am just fastidious about flossing. And my dentist has noticed, right? So ask yourself, like, what are those activities that will build habits? Because it's the habits that build results. It's not like the big, huge actions. It's the daily, consistent action. And then that reflection that we talked about, when you look at this, you can ask yourself, hey, did prioritizing this daily or weekly bring me joy and energy? Or did it feel like a burden? Because often we have an idea of what something should be, and it may not actually end up resulting in what we believe. But you can adjust as necessary, right? Life changes. So will your non-negotiables. This is about you staying in alignment with what brings you peace, what brings you joy, what brings you fulfillment. And by defining and prioritizing these non-negotiables, what you're doing is you're ensuring that the things that matter most don't get lost in the noise and the chaos of everyday life, right? So remember to reflect back and adjust so your non-negotiables continue to serve you, right? As this person that is constantly changing. So if you want to track your habits and ensure you're prioritizing the right things, remember to text balance to 949-503-9882 and get the non-negotiable navigator as part of the Balance Blueprint. It has everything you need to stay on track. Plus you're going to get access to all of the other episodes and lessons. And as always, thank you for tuning in today. And I can't wait to hear how you're making your non-negotiables work for you.